It is 1944. World War II is burning across the Pacific Ocean. High above a chain of remote islands, two fighter planes tear through the sky, locked in a fierce dogfight. An American pilot and a Japanese pilot trade rounds, spinning and diving, neither willing to break away. Both aircraft take critical hits. Engines coughing black smoke, both planes spiral out of control and crash into the dense jungle of an uncharted island below. The American pilot is Hank Marlowe. The Japanese pilot is Gunpei Ikari. The instant they spot each other on the ground, the war takes over again. They open fire. When the bullets run out, the chase begins, carrying both men from the beach deep into the jungle. Neither will stop. Neither knows where they are or what lives on this island. None of that matters right now. The chase ends at the edge of a cliff. Marlowe has nowhere to go. Gunpei sees his opening, draws his sword, and swings. Marlowe catches the blade with his bare hands and shoves Gunpei back hard, knocking the sword away. Gunpei pulls a knife and launches himself forward. The blade stops just inches from Marlowe's throat. Then the ground begins to shake. Both men go still. The shaking grows stronger. The trees along the cliff edge crack and splinter. A massive hairy hand grips the rock above them. A colossal gorilla head rises over the edge and lets out a roar that shakes the air itself. The two enemies who were just about to kill each other step back and stand side by side. Neither raises a weapon. There is nothing to raise it at. Whatever war they were fighting has just become the least important thing in the world. 29 years later, a taxi pulls up in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. Two men climb out. The first is Bill Randa, the head of a secret government organization called Monarch. The second is Dr. Houston Brooks, a young geologist. They are here to see Senator Willis, and Brooks is quietly anxious about it. The timing is terrible. Their funding is almost completely gone. This meeting is their last real chance at getting the mission approved. The senator receives them, but makes his skepticism obvious from the first moment. Randa does not waste time. He tells the senator about an uncharted island in the South Pacific, hidden from the outside world behind a permanent circular storm system. Old legends call it Skull Island, the place where God did not finish creation. Ships and planes have been disappearing in the surrounding waters for as long as anyone has records. Randa believes the 1954 nuclear tests in the Pacific were not tests at all. They were attempts to destroy something living on that island. And beneath its surface, he argues there is an ecosystem unlike anything the world has ever documented. The senator stands up and walks out, but Randa and Brooks follow him down the corridor, pushing harder. There is a military mission already running nearby. They can attach themselves to it at almost no extra cost. And whatever is on that island, this matters above everything else. They cannot allow the Russians to find it first. That argument stops the senator cold. He turns around and agrees to authorize the expedition. He tells them straight, this is the last thing he does for them. Randa nods and adds one final requirement. They are going to need a military escort. Cut to an American air base in Vietnam. The war is over. Soldiers are loading crates, packing bags, and preparing to ship home. Among them is Lieutenant Colonel Preston Packard, commander of the Sky Devils helicopter unit. His men, Glenn Mills, Earl Cole Reg, Slivko Relis, and the others are done, ready to go. After a night of drinking with his unit, Packard goes back to his office. Major Jack Chapman comes to check on him. Chapman already has a civilian job waiting. His next chapter is planned, but Packard sits alone staring at his service decorations, feeling like all of it has added up to nothing. This war was the only thing that ever made sense to him. Now it is over, and he does not know who he is without it. That night, a phone call comes in. Randa's expedition needs military helicopters and a commanding officer to lead them. Packard picks up and agrees immediately. He has no hesitation at all. In Saigon, Randa and Brooks walk into a bar looking for a specific man. James Conrad, a former British Special Air Service captain, now working as a freelance tracker and survival guide in Southeast Asia. They find him at the pool table. He is playing for money and winning, which has made his opponents very unhappy. When the situation turns physical, Conrad ends it quickly and cleanly using the pool cue. The three men sit down at a table. Conrad hears the pitch and is not easily sold. He names his price at 5 times what they are offering, plus a bonus payment if they make it back alive. They agree. Conrad also wants to know exactly what he will be tracking. Randa and Brooks give him the vague version they need his expertise navigating dangerous, unknown terrain. Conrad files that away and accepts the deal. For now. Elsewhere, Mason Weaver is working in her darkroom developing photographs. She is a photojournalist with a reputation for publishing stories that governments do not want published. She gets a call informing her that she has been accepted into Randa's expedition. She is immediately enthusiastic. When someone asks why a geological survey interests her so much, She explains her reasoning clearly. Every source she has spoken to about this mission has given her the exact same story, word for word. That does not happen naturally. When everyone agrees on the same explanation, someone told them what to say. Something is going on out there, and she intends to find out what. A few days later, all the characters gather in Bangkok and board a large ship together. The soldiers are unhappy about it. They were heading home, and now they are back on active duty without a clear explanation. Weaver introduces herself to Steve Woodward, a NASA employee assigned to the expedition. She then introduces herself to Packard, who recognizes her by her anti-war journalism and does not bother pretending to be friendly about it. Once at sea, the full team gathers for a briefing led by NASA official Victor Neves. He explains the basics. The island sits behind a permanent storm system that has kept it completely hidden from the outside world. The storm is passable using the military helicopters. He introduces the science team Brooks Randa and their third member San Lin. Brooks then takes over explaining the seismic mapping plan. They will drop explosives on the island's surface. The detonations will send vibrations through the ground and allow them to map what lies beneath. Chapman wraps up the logistics. Once inside the storm, radio communication will be blocked entirely. The rescue window is at the north end of the island 3 days from landing. No one can miss it. The next safe departure window is unknown. After the briefing, Conrad and Weaver find themselves on the deck at the same time. Both are suspicious of the story they were given. They probe each other carefully, testing the other's reasoning without giving too much away. Neither fully trusts what they signed up for. The ship reaches the edge of the storm. In person, it looks far worse than any description. A massive rotating wall of black clouds and continuous lightning stretches across the entire horizon. Randa wants to push through it. Neves does not. The decision falls to Packard, who answers without hesitating. They are going in. Everyone boards the helicopters. The fleet lifts off and heads toward the storm. For the first few minutes, the flight is calm. Then they hit the edge of the system, and everything changes instantly. Lightning fires through the air in every direction. Helicopters lurch and spin sideways. Pilots fight just to maintain control. Packard stays on the radio the whole time, keeping his voice level, guiding his men through the chaos until one by one, the aircraft push through and break out the other side into clear sky. Below them, Skull Island appears for the first time. The island is enormous and ancient. Towering cliffs ring its edges. Dense jungle covers everything. Strange rock formations cut through the landscape, and enormous bones bigger than any known creature jut up from the hillsides and the ground. Something massive once lived here in large numbers. Something bigger wiped it out. The civilians are left on the ground while the helicopters spread out across the island to begin the seismic mapping. The charges go off in sequence one after another. Brooks stares at his radar data as the readings come in. His hollow earth theory is immediately confirmed. The bedrock beneath the island is almost entirely hollow. An underground network of tunnels and chambers runs beneath the entire surface. Then the first helicopter is hit. A flying tree slams into the rotors and brings it down. A second helicopter is grabbed clean out of the air by an enormous hand. It is turned sideways so the cockpit faces outward. The soldier inside gets a long look at the face of the creature holding him before the aircraft is crushed. Every alarm fires at once. Every soldier looks up. On the horizon, standing against the sky with his full height visible, is Kong. For a moment, he simply stands there and roars at the fleet. Then the soldiers open fire. The bullets barely register. Kong moves through the helicopters with overwhelming force. He grabs them out of the air and slams them into the ground. He swats them sideways mid-flight. He hunts down the soldiers who survive the crashes and crushes them too. Packard screams orders into his radio. There are no orders that change this outcome. Kong works through the entire fleet systematically, and he does not stop until the last helicopter is down and the sky above Skull Island is empty and burning. The wreckage of the expedition is spread across the island in separate groups. In one location, Weaver Neves, Slivko Brooks, San Lin, and Conrad. Conrad takes control immediately and sets a heading north toward the extraction point. Chapman is somewhere else entirely alone on a different part of the island, but he gets a signal through to Packard with his position before the radios die. Packard is in a third location with Relis and moves quickly to link up with Cole Woodward and the remaining soldiers. Packard then finds Randa nearby and pulls him aside. He puts a gun in Randa's face and demands the real reason behind this mission. Randa tells him everything. Monsters exist. He has known it for years and no one has ever believed him. A long time ago, he was aboard a naval vessel in the Pacific that was attacked and destroyed by something massive. He survived. The government told his family it was lost in battle. The public never heard anything. He has spent every year since building Monarch and working toward this moment. The explosives were not dropped for geology. They were dropped to disturb what lives underground, to shake something loose and prove it exists. He wants Packard to help him bring back proof so the world can finally know the truth. Packard listens, then replies flatly, "Randa wanted the cavalry. He is the cavalry." Conrad's group moves north through the jungle. They come out near a large lake and find a massive bison-like creature standing in the shallows. Slivko reaches for his weapon. Conrad stops him with a hand gesture. The animal is not threatening them. It watches them for a long moment, then turns and walks away. Everything on this island seems to be operating on a scale and a set of rules that none of them fully understand yet. Packard's group is cutting through jungle on the other side of the island, hunting for Chapman and the weapons from the downed helicopters. Without any warning, one of the soldiers drops. Something long and pointed has gone straight through his throat. The team looks up. What they thought was a tree limb above them is the leg of a giant spider hiding in the canopy. It grabs Mills in its grip and holds him tightly while the rest of the team cannot shoot without hitting him. Mills draws his knife and starts cutting through the limbs one by one with everything he has. It takes real effort, but he gets himself free. The instant he hits the ground, the team opens fire and kills the spider. Conrad's group discovers a set of ancient stone ruins and steps inside. The moment they do, the iwi appear from every direction, the native people of Skull Island, weapons drawn and pointed. The team raises their weapons in return. A confrontation is seconds away. A voice breaks through it. A man walks out from among the iwi in a worn, faded World War II American pilot uniform. He tells both sides to back off. The iwi listen to him. The tension drops immediately. His name is Hank Marlowe. He has been living on Skull Island since 1944. He is overwhelmed to hear English spoken around him. Words tumble out of him in waves, joy and relief, and 28 years of stored up conversation all at once. He has a wife. He has a son who was not yet born when he shipped out. He has held on to them through every single day on this island. On another part of the island, Chapman stops at a river to refill his canteen. He goes completely still when he hears the water moving in a way that has nothing to do with the current. Kong steps into the river ahead of him. Chapman presses himself behind a rock and watches in silence. Kong drinks from the river, then reaches beneath the surface and pulls out a giant octopus. The creature wraps its tentacles around Kong's arms and fights back. Kong tears the limbs off one at a time and eats them, then drags the rest away behind him. Chapman stays motionless until the massive figure disappears from view. Marlowe leads Conrad's team into an ancient shipwreck embedded in the island's ground and shows them the cave paintings on the walls inside. The iwi have been on this island for thousands of years. For most of that time, they lived in fear of the creatures that roamed it. Then some of those creatures began protecting them instead. Kong is the greatest of them, a god to the iwi, a king who has watched over the island and its people across generations. He will not attack humans unless they attack him first. He never has been the enemy here, but something else is. Marlowe describes the skull crawlers, massive, fast, lizard-like creatures with 2 powerful arms and no back legs that live in the network of underground tunnels beneath the island. They are relentless hunters. The biggest one is the most dangerous creature Skull Island has ever produced. That creature killed Kong's parents. The only reason the skull crawlers have not taken over the surface of the island is because Kong stops them. Every time one comes up, he drives it back down. The bombs that Randa's team dropped have woken these things. They are surfacing now in numbers that nobody is prepared for. Conrad tells Marlowe about the rescue window 3 days north end of the island. Marlowe shakes his head. On foot, that timeline is impossible, but there might be another way. Packard's team is moving through a swamp when a flock of large, strange-looking birds appears. The birds do not attack. Packard raises his weapon and shoots one anyway, sending the rest of the flock scattering. His men are unsettled and getting more so. Cole does his best to hold morale together. He tells them to trust Packard. Marlowe tells Conrad's team about the boat. He and Gunpei had been building it for years, piece by piece, using parts salvaged from their crashed planes and whatever else the island provided. Gunpei died before it was finished. With the team's help, it can be completed. If they can launch it onto the river and push north fast enough, they can reach the extraction point in time. Everyone works on the repairs. While the work is happening, Weaver hears something on the other side of the village wall. She climbs over to investigate and finds one of the large, bison-like creatures trapped underneath a fallen plane, unable to free itself. She tries to shift the plane. It does not move. She tries again. Nothing. Then a shadow falls over her from above. Kong reaches over the wall and lifts the plane like it weighs nothing. The animal scrambles free and runs. Kong looks down at Weaver for a long, moment. He studies her, then he turns and leaves. It was not a threatening look. It was something closer to recognition. Back in the jungle, Packard's team finds a large bloodstain left by Kong on the side of a mountain. He was injured. Kong can bleed. Packard takes note of this quietly. Meanwhile, Chapman is still alone, still trying to raise someone on the radio with no success. He sits down to rest on what looks like the trunk of a fallen tree. The trunk shifts beneath him. It is not a tree. It is a creature that has evolved to look exactly like one. Chapman shoots it and it runs. The gunshot pulls something else toward him. He barely has time to turn around before a skullcrawler comes out of the undergrowth and swallows him whole. Night falls on the Iwi village. While the others talk around fires, Conrad and Weaver stand quietly apart and watch the northern lights move above the island. Weaver wants to photograph them, but her flashlight is dead. Conrad hands her his lighter, a gift from his father who fought in World War II and who was Conrad's greatest inspiration growing up. In another part of the camp, Randa tells Packard that his plan is reckless and is going to get more people killed. Packard's answer is short. If Randa does not like how he runs things, he knows where the exit is. The next morning, the boat is ready. Before they push off, Marlowe goes to Gunpei's grave and pulls the sword from the ground above it. Gunpei was his enemy the day they crashed. He became his closest friend across the 28 years they spent on the island together. Marlowe carries the sword with him as everyone boards the vessel. The engine takes some effort to start, but it catches, and they push out onto the river. Marlowe talks as they sail about his wife, his son, everything he has been carrying in his memory for nearly 3 decades. He has no idea what any of them look like now. A signal comes through from Packard's team. They fire a flare to mark their location. The two groups are close enough to link up. There is a brief moment of relief when they make contact until one of the strange birds from the swamp swoops in and takes Neves from the boat, carrying him away before anyone can stop it. Nothing can be done. The boat keeps moving. The boat reaches land and both groups come together. Conrad pushes hard for them to get back on the water and heads straight north to the extraction point. Packard refuses. Chapman is still out there. He is not leaving without him. Marlowe argues loudly against going west. That is Skullcrawler territory. Conrad does not want to go either, but his job is to track, and he agrees to Packard's request under one condition. They find Chapman, and they are back before nightfall. Packard gives the word. The group pushes west and soon finds something vast and strange on the landscape, the skeletal remains of Kong's parents. Enormous bones the size of buildings jutting from the earth in every direction, like a monument to what used to live here. Marlowe tells Packard to go around. Packard orders them through. They step between the bones into the mass grave. A thick, low mist drifts across the ground around them. Cole drops a cigarette into it. The mist ignites. An explosion rolls through the bones and shakes the ground. A skull crawler rises from the earth. The group scatters and presses against the giant bones for cover. The skull crawler moves through the mist, hunting by sound. It stops near Conrad. A sound comes from it and then it vomits up a skull that lands at Conrad's feet. He looks at it closely. There is a name tag on it. It belongs to Chapman. Chapman has been dead this whole time. Then Randa's camera flashes. The skull crawler snaps toward the light instantly and drives into Randa before he can move. Randa is gone. The creature disappears back into the mist, and the soldiers cannot get clear shots through it. It reappears from a different angle and slams into Marlowe. Marlowe drives the sword into it and shoves it off. It turns to another soldier and takes him. The skull crawler goes for Weaver next. One of the soldiers turns his flamethrower on it. The creature swings its tail at the flamethrower soldier and sends him tumbling. The flamethrower ignites on impact when he hits the ground. The explosion catches Slivko in the blast, and he goes down near a rack of fuel canisters. The same birds from the swamp suddenly arrive in the chaos. Conrad grabs Marlowe's sword and a gas mask from the ground and pushes into the leaking gas field. He cuts through the diving birds one by one, making his way to Slivko. The skull crawler closes in at the same time. It is nearly on top of Slivko when Weaver hurls Conrad's lighter into the gas. The explosion takes out the skull crawler. Once the group clears the mass grave, Conrad stops Packard and shows him the name tag from the skull. Chapman is dead. The skull crawler already ate him. Packard looks at it, then says it does not change anything. He wants the explosives from the helicopter crash site. He is going to use them to kill Kong. Marlowe, Conrad, the scientists, and Weaver all push back at once. Kong is not the enemy. He was defending his island against the bombs they dropped on it without warning. Killing Kong means the skull crawlers have nothing to hold them underground anymore. Whatever comes up after that, they cannot fight it. Packard does not hear any of it. He gives the order to keep moving. Weapons come out on both sides, soldiers and civilians pointing guns at each other, no one willing to move. It holds in complete silence. Conrad says it is over. Then something massive moves in the water nearby, something none of them have seen yet. Everyone runs except Packard. He stands his ground with a detonator aimed at Kong. Kong reaches down and closes his fist around Packard. He is gone. As the sun begins to come up, the surviving members of the group reach the edge of the island and the water. They send Weaver ahead to find high ground and fire a signal flare for Brooks waiting on the water. Conrad and the soldiers start running across the open ground to draw the Skullcrawler away from her. The creature gives chase. Cole makes his decision. He loads his explosives and holds his position, waiting for the Skullcrawler to get close enough to detonate. The creature's tail swings and throws Cole clear before he can trigger it. He survives, but the plan fails. The Skullcrawler has the rest of the group cornered when Kong comes back. He comes in hard. He punches the Skullcrawler away from the survivors and hammers it across the ground with both fists, buying the group time. Weaver reaches her high point and fires the flare. On the water, Brooks sees it and turns the boat toward the shore. Kong and the Skullcrawler continue fighting across the terrain. The creature is fast in close quarters and drives a hit with a full uprooted tree into Kong, sending him backward. He lands across a mass of old chains from wrecked ships buried in the rock. The chains wrap around him and hold him down. The Skullcrawler closes in. The boat arrives. The scientists and soldiers on board open fire on the creature from the water. Weaver fires a flare directly into its neck from above. The distraction is enough for Kong to wrench himself free from the chains. He grabs one of the massive chain lengths and uses it as a weapon. He swings it into the Skullcrawler with full force, beating it back across the terrain, then grabs it and drives it into the side of the mountain. The impact sends Weaver falling from her position into the water below. Kong sees it happen. He delivers a series of hard, final blows to drive the Skullcrawler down, then reaches into the water and lifts Weaver out. He holds her in his palm. The Skullcrawler launches back up and grabs Kong's wrist between its jaws. Kong looks at the tongue locked around him. He grabs it and pulls. He kills the Skullcrawler by tearing its own guts out through its mouth. He opens his hand. Weaver is unhurt. Kong sets her down on the ground with complete care. Conrad reaches her immediately. Together, they watch Kong turn and walk back into the jungle without looking back. The survivors get back on the boat and sail for the extraction point. They talk quietly about what to say when they get home. They agree not to say anything. A fleet of rescue helicopters arrives and takes them out one at a time. As the last helicopter lifts away, Kong appears one final time on the shoreline and roars at the sky.